What up, family? This Big Q from the Sports Coma representing, man. In today's episode, man, this is a special video that I'm shooting. It's been a while since I did any special videos for the family members. And I just wanted to come out and I had some extra time and I wanted to do some videos, man, representing the black and gold and talking about some of the up and coming free agency. This is my free agency video. Of course, a lot of family members wanted me to do it live, but instead of doing it live, I decided just to do a recorded version, then put the recorded version up with everything involved, and then have you do a live show based upon what the video was about. That way you can either agree or disagree with what's going on in the video. All right, let's start this off, man, dealing with the NFL projects. Now, this was an article here that came from the NFL, and it's basically saying that the NFL projects the 2020 salary cap to climb as much as $201.2 million, man. That's absolutely insane. That's ridiculous. That goes to show you how the NFL gets down, how they're making billions of dollars for each team to be over 200 million, man. Over 200 million. That's coming up. Now, this projected, now, according to this report, the estimates of the 2020 salary cap is to be set as high as 201.2 million. And they're saying with a conservative estimates climbing to 196.8. So in between that 201 and that 96.8 is where they're saying that it's supposed to be when it's all said and done after this current year is over with. That would mean a big increase for a lot of different teams of the salary cap. That was 188.2, mega league big. Now, as far as the Saints are concerned, they'll be on the hook for a little bit over $180 million in salary cap commitments coming into the new fiscal year. Now, which accounts for a lot of the dead money. Remember, the Saints was the dead money champion some years ago, but they ultimately get peeled off the books. And then you have dead money payments to quarterbacks like Drew Brees and Teddy Bridgewater, who are each scheduled to test unrestricted free agency coming up in March. It's going to be interesting to see how that unfolds as the NFL Players Association agrees to set the next year's salary cap. The Saints will go into the offseason between 16.4 and 20.8 mil. Now, I started the video off like that because that opens up a series of things, because to be quite honest with you, the Saints have a lot of free agencies between this year coming in 2020 and 2021. Very big years for both teams, for the team, as it looks to try to solve some of the issues of retaining some of its core members, or what have you. Some things have to be done. That's why during the podcast and the live broadcast is the fact that I always spoke about not giving up your salary cap, or not giving up your your draft compensation, not giving up your draft capital, because with the draft capital, it's a cheap and inexpensive and efficient way of stockpiling depth upon your team. And along with the drafts, the Saints have the second draft, so to speak, which is the undrafted period, which a lot of players, Saints always seem to get the best undrafted talent after the draft, so the team restocks well. Now, some of the players that'll be hitting 2020 free agency is pretty well known. You got Drew Brees, Teddy Bridgewater, Taysom Hill, among others. Now, we're going to individually, in this video, we're going to go over each one and my thoughts on what needs to happen with that particular player. So without further ado, let's hit it. Now, we're going to start off with the 2020 draft period that'll be coming in, and that is the main thing we want to go with it in a sticking point. Now, of course, at the top, it'll be Drew Brees. He's unrestricted, and a lot of people sometimes forget that Drew Brees is unrestricted. We got to remember that. Now, we could go in different directions, but I don't think the Saints will allow Drew Brees to walk away. I think Drew and the Saints have a good relationship. And of course, Mickey Loomis was quoted as saying, as we played several of the interviews here on the Sports Coma, about Mickey Loomis feeling comfortable dealing with Drew Brees on a year-by-year basis. That's basically what he was saying. Now, Drew Brees, I think the Saints, now it's most certainly, if everything's based upon how I'm seeing it, despite the San Francisco loss, which is this video is done a couple days after the fact, I still see the Saints as a legitimate Super Bowl team. At the end of the day, we have to dig in if we're looking to defend the crown or remain at that level. Even though Drew Brees will be 41 next year, he's still a guy that's playing at that level. It's always, guys, it's always exceptions to the rule, regardless of what. It's always exceptions to the rule, and Drew Brees is that exception. He's exceptional. He owns dozens of records, and he's not done yet. He's going to play as long as Tom Brady plays. Both of those guys are phenomenal. They're champions. They have the heart of champions, and you can't deny that. So with that being said, Drew Brees should be a candidate, will be a candidate to return for the Saints for another season next year. What the deal looks like, Q, maybe I'm thinking a 1-year deal, possibly in the $30 to $35 million range. I'm saying because you say that much, well, the market will dictate what it is, and they'll have other teams that will throw money at Drew Brees, like Tom Brady. Tom Brady's going to be a free agent. You don't think teams are going to throw money at Tom Brady to be their quarterback? It's Tom freaking Brady, or it's Drew freaking Brees. There are going to be other teams that's going to throw money at Drew to get the money up. My thing is, Mickey Loomis should get a deal done before we even get into free agency, where the money could spike. If he's smart, he'll get a deal done after the season or toward the season, where Drew Brees always cuts it off. His salary negotiations during the season, he doesn't want it to be a distraction. So if that's the case, Drew Brees, we should be looking at getting Drew Brees after the season, signing him for a contract between 33 and possibly 35 million. I know it's a lot of money, but you're gonna pay with Drew Brees, and he don't believe in salary taking cuts in payment. I don't know who keeps saying that, but y'all need to understand that Drew Brees has never taken a pay cut. He has shifted his money to the back end of his contract to help you, but that is not a pay cut. That is not a salary cut. That means that it's a more reliable way of saying it is a salary a discipline or a salary holding. It's not a cut and pay. He's not getting less money. He's just allowing him to shift his money back to the end of his contract, or to pay him, to cut him a fat check of his money right now. There's no cuts with Drew Brees. Tom Brady is the one that gives pay cuts. Next up the bat, Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater had a masterful year with the Saints. Every game that Drew was out, Teddy Bridgewater was responsible for wins. He went undefeated. That's the first time since any quarterback has ever done that. Won a game since Aaron Brooks was here. He won 5 games with Drew Brees on the bench, which inspired Drew to get back out there, because Teddy Bridgewater was definitely in control. And you heard the Teddy. People was feeling Teddy, despite the fact some people nearsighted though. Near-thoughted, man, because I don't think about it like that. I remember when Teddy Bridgewater was being erratic. I remember when Teddy Bridgewater was missing on wide receivers. I remember all that, and he had 2 games that he really balled out in, but that's just me, how I think it. Will the Saints keep Teddy Bridgewater? That's entirely up to Teddy Bridgewater if the Saints retain him, because he is going to get money elsewhere. There'll be teams, the Denver Broncos, the Chicago Bears. If they don't make the playoff run, they're still trying to see what Mitch Trubisky has. And there will be several other teams out there that's in the market for a veteran quarterback that doesn't have that much mileage on him. Remember, Teddy Bridgewater basically is still very much a very young quarterback, a very young veteran who's missed a couple years off because of the injury. He showed that he can win. He showed that he's healed from his injuries. And he's answered a lot of questions. His production, in my opinion, has basically priced him out of the Saints market. So look for, in terms of Teddy Bridgewater, to take a deal to go elsewhere. That's my thinking on it. Okay, let's keep it rolling, family. The next up to bat is AJ Klein. AJ Klein, I love AJ Klein. One of my favorite Saints. AJ Klein follows the Sports Coma. Big ups to you, AJ. AJ, one of the most terrific Saints out there, like Demario Davis, Drew Brees, Cam Jordan. He does a lot of fantastic stuff. I love AJ Klein. The brother is all right with me. He knows that. But I think AJ Klein, this will be the end of the road for AJ Klein, to be quite honest with your Sports Coma family. This is the end of the road for AJ Klein. A lot of injuries over the last several years. He have 2 babies to take care of. And he's wealthy, man. He's wealthy, got a great family. And I think it's time for AJ, after the Saints get the Super Bowl, for him to step away quietly and go live his life, man. And that's not something new. That was hinted on early on in the season. He was hinting on about him leaving the game. AJ Klein played the game for a long time. He made a lot of money. He got a beautiful family. AJ, I think he probably will bow out and retire and go move on to be a family man. So big ups to AJ Klein for doing that, man. And then there's Eli Apple. The big talking is what happens with Eli Apple. Does Eli Apple come back? Does he come back? Does the Saints want him back? The truth is, Sean Payton and the Saints, Mickey Loomis, definitely want Eli Apple to come back, but it's at the right price. Now, if Eli Apple, is there a market for Eli Apple, a young cornerback that's not really at the prime of his career yet? It's not really that at the prime. I ain't gonna say he's at the prime yet, but you can see that he's peaking. I still say he hadn't hit the ceiling yet. I still say he's ascending, just like Lattimore is ascending, and I would love to see those guys work together, develop together in that Saints secondary. Eli is a good cornerback in my opinion, and he should remain a Saint for the right price. That's what it comes down to, for the right price. Now, what's that price? What the market value for Eli Apple will be amongst all of the other starting cornerbacks, that has to be determined. But Eli Apple, in my opinion, should be a Saint again on a 3 or 4 year deal, based upon just a really cap-friendly 3 or 4 year deal to retain his services. That's my opinion. And besides, I think Eli Apple loves New Orleans and he wants to stay. So let's just get that straight. Next on the back, Andrus Peat. This is the most controversial of all of them, because to be quite honest with you, family, a lot of family members saying to me, yo, Q, Andrus Peat is garbage. Andrus Peat is a guy that shouldn't be on the team. We can spend that money elsewhere, what have you. I think Andrus Peat's versatility basically gives him the ability to be here. I would not dare lose Andrus Peat, because he plays 4 positions. He plays left tackle, left guard, right guard. There's not too many players that do that, but trust and believe. I think Andrus should stay, but I think somebody else pays Andrus Peat a hell of a lot more money to be a left guard for their team. Hopefully it's not somebody in our division, but to be honest with you, I don't think the Saints match Andrus Peat. He's unrestricted, which means that some team is going to come and give Andrus Peat a lot of money, and the Saints will not match. That's the bottom line. I don't see the Saints matching money for Andrus Peat. I think Andrus Peat is gone. Now, if I was running a team, I would offer him a contract, but I think somebody's going to come along and give Andrus Peat a chunk full of money, and ultimately that's going to end up putting him out. So Andrus Peat, even though I want him, I think somebody else is going to overpay to get Andrus Peat. Remember the Senio Calamente situation, when the Saints had Senio Calamente. They wanted him back, but at the right price. But Senio Calamente had got a really good deal from the Houston Texans to go west, and he's been starting and doing really well for them. His versatility to play center or the guard, he even played a little tackle. There's a high value on that type of stuff. So for those people who are disrespecting Andrus Peat, understand that when you have a player that can play so many positions, that's a high credit to him, and somebody's going to pay him for it, just like they paid Senio Calamente to be a starter in Houston. Somebody's going to pay him. It just won't be the Saints. They won't match whatever it is, sorry to say. PJ Williams. PJ Williams is next up the bat. PJ Williams is good as toast. He's done. He's out of here. He took a cheap deal to come back here. What really messed PJ Williams up last year was right after the championship game, he had a DWI. And that's something that really just destroyed his value in the free agency, because he might have found a deal somewhere else, to be quite honest with you. PJ Williams just needs a change of scenery. I don't think we'll get anything good out of PJ Williams. I think that whoever gets him, they need to convert him to a safety. That's where you'll get the best usage out of him, because his ball skills aren't all that, but he's an excellent tackler. So if you utilize his talents in terms of turning him into a safety, I think you get a lot of value out of PJ Williams, for real. On to Zach Line. Zach Line is the fullback. He is done for this year. I think the Saints could look at Zach Line or a cheaper replacement for him. They'll bring somebody else in to compete with him like they did last year. But Zach Line will come back cheap to play for the Saints, and if he is willing to come back, I think Sean Payton will find a spot for him. Okay, Vonn Bell. This is interesting because Vonn Bell has literally been balling as of late. And the truth be told is Vonn Bell is back there. He had his first interception. He had a sack that came in. He's a good ball hawking guy that can play both safety spots, but in the end, he's a good tackler of his own. He kind of picked up a little weight to deal it. And Vonn Bell, if you look at it, his durability, he is always out there like Cam Jordan. He knows the defense, and I just think that if you can give him a competent complement player next to him, not named Marcus Williams, you can really see his value take up. But Vonn Bell is terrific, and I just don't think the Saints are ready to lose their backing a guy like Vonn Bell in the back of the safety class and bring a brand new guy in here. And I don't see him drafting a safety in the first 2 rounds to come here and compete with Marcus Williams. So I think Vonn Bell should be safe with the Saints. The Saints should be able to offer Vonn Bell a 4-year deal for him to remain with the black and gold. I think Vonn Bell stays. And what really helped him toward the back end is the fact that he's been playing really well, and he knows what he's looking at. And I think the Saints don't want to lose that integrity and that safe back there and that safety. So retaining both Vonn Bell and guys like Eli Apple will definitely help the Saints secondary. They just need to add depth behind those guys to keep the ship moving. Next on the list is a couple of people. Johnson Batamosi, which is a guy they just picked up. He's an undrafted guy, not much to say there. He probably will be off there as well. Patrick Omameh, very interesting process on him. If Cameron Tom was available, Omameh wouldn't be on this team, just to be honest with you. Cameron Tom was healthy, got hurt in preseason. If he was 100% healthy, Omameh would not be here. So I would have to say Omameh is gone as well. Other people like Stephon Anthony, Josh Martin, Michael Ola, Manti Te'o, those guys are definitely going to be out of here as well. And then we get to some of the more interesting characters like David Onyemata. What happens with David Onyemata? What do the Saints do? Now, Sheldon Rankins, his free agency is 2021. We'll go over that quickly. But Sheldon Rankins is in 2021. Onyemata is in 2020. What do you do, Saints? If I was the Saints, and I know exactly, they're going to have teams that are going to offer David Onyemata starter money to go and play for their teams. He's really that good. He's good enough to be a starter, to be quite honest with you. Now, will the Saints match the money? That's a whole question. This is more of a harder choice to call than some of the other ones from the previous sessions of me talking about. But Onyemata, what do you do? Is there any replacement? You might think about guys like Taylor Stallworth. You might take Shy Tuttle. Mario Edwards Jr. But David Onyemata is special. He's a guy that has starter level potential, but he's a reserve, and he has a non-stop motor. The Saints should sign David Onyemata back, but I'm thinking it's a similar situation as Andrus Peat. Is that Onyemata will be priced out of our realm. Somebody's gonna offer him money, starter money, just like Andrus Peat's situation. So as far as that's concerned, I would say that we got to be very careful, because I want Onyemata to stick around. I just think that someone going to come along and see him and offer him more money than what the Saints are willing to pay. But David Onyemata should be a guy that gets a good contract. He earned it. But his contract, but you got 2 of them to pay. Remember, it's Onyemata and Sheldon Rankins. And do you pay both? Sheldon Rankins is going to get a good deal. David Onyemata is looking for a good deal. But we'll see just how it plays, because that is a very, really tough one. The toughest of all of them is what David Onyemata's contract looked like versus Sheldon Rankins. Do you keep both of them? How does that look? You know, that's what it comes down to. They both came out of the same draft class. But of course, the 2020 free agent, Sheldon Rankins, doesn't come out until 2021. Now let's keep it going. Now, all this information is provided by one of my favorite sites that I check out, salary cap and player contracts, Sportrack.com. That's the reference I'm letting y'all know. It's Sportrack.com is where I'm getting all my information about salary caps and money and all that kind of gravy stuff. It's from Sportrack.com. Now, other players on this list, just to kind of expedite the video, to talk about is T.Y. McGill and Noah Spence. They just signed, so of course they're not going to be on next year's team. Dwayne Washington's an interesting choice too. We have to think about. I think David Washington will probably hang around. Some of these players you can get them for really cheap. Then Zach Wood, same thing. the long snapper. You got Justin Hardy, who our special team ace. He'll come really cheap. I don't see any problems with them. Cameron Thomas up for bats. I think Cameron Thomas is a guy that you sign as well if you're going to lose Andrus Peat, and chances are you won't sign Cameron Thomas to a cap-friendly deal. Krishawn Hogan is another guy you can keep for cheap money, although I think the Saints will probably end up they have all these other guys like Emmanuel Butler and LaJordan Humphries, but most of these guys can't be brought back. JT Gray is another guy that can come back off a cheap contract. And of course, there's Austin Carr, who's on the injury list. He can come cheap. Taysom Hill, despite everything that happens and all the things that he does, he's a quarterback, that's a running back, that's a tight end. He's a free agent as well. And the Saints are not going to let their three quarterbacks, all three of their quarterbacks are free agents, all of them. That's Taysom Hill, Teddy Bridgewater, and Drew Brees. I'll be majorly surprised if all three come back. That's not going to happen. At least two of the three going to come back, and the two are Drew Brees. He'll get his money, and Taysom Hill will get a deal as well. Now, it won't be a break your back deal. I mean, he doesn't make a lot of money anyway, but a couple million for Taysom Hill will probably be a good bet, especially if you see him as a team's future quarterback, which Sean Payton says a lot of stuff, and a lot of people take Sean Payton with, straight up. But I always say that you need to take Sean Payton with a grain of salt. And when he tells you that Taysom Hill is Steve Young, but then he runs out and puts him to block punts, to be a tight end, to be a wide receiver, to be everything but a quarterback, trust me. If Sean Payton was running the San Francisco 49ers, he would not be doing that to Steve Young. Steve Young would not be out there. So I don't think Taysom Hill is the future heir apparent to Drew Brees. I just don't. The heir apparent is not in the building, and Teddy Bridgewater is not going to be. Anyway, he's going to be priced out. And then there's Keith Kirkwood, who I think the Saints could keep some of these young wide receivers and players for next to nothing, depending on the draft and other undrafted guys. Now, that's the 2020 class. Let's go over the 2021 class before I go, just to go over it quickly. Now, these are some of the names from the 2020 class that we have here via Sports Track, and that's Larry Warford, who's getting a nice chunk of change in 2021. You got to decide on what you do with Larry Warford. Demario Davis is a big guy in the 2021 class. Jared Cook, his contract is due. It's Kiko Alonso, Marshawn Lattimore, Sheldon Rankins, Mario Edwards Jr., Ryan Ramczyk, Craig Robertson, Marcus Williams, Elvin Kamara, Alex Anzalone, Trey Hendrickson, and Garrett Griffin. Big ups to Garrett, who follows the show. This is the reality, man. The next 2 years, 2020 and 2021, will say a lot about the state of the Saints going into the next 5 years. Remember, the key personnel of the team is represented in 5-year increments. The coach is on a 5-year deal. He got that early this year. Cam Jordan, which we worked to a 5-year deal. Michael Thomas, 5-year deal. Expect Kamara or whomever they come up with contracts. I'm gonna expect most of these guys to wait to 2021. That's on the second list. Demario Davis could very well get a contract at the end of this year. So does Elvin Kamara and Ryan Ramczyk. So it's a lot going on. Several players need to be dealt with. We'll see just how the Saints handle it. But if you think in the regular season is interesting going in for the Saints, man, the next 2 off seasons will be absolutely bonkers. So just to let you know, this is the report, man. I'm Big Q from the Sports Coma. Make sure you guys tune into the Sports Coma live every Saturday at 12 o'clock and after every Saints game. And of course, we do a Wednesday show at 7 o'clock or between 7 and 8 o'clock, usually at 8 o'clock Eastern time. So just subscribe, like, and share, man. Listen to the Sports Coma, the #1 independent podcast in the land with all things Saints. If you want that real, holla at your boy at the Sports Coma. Thank y'all for listening, man. Peace up to you. I love y'all. Subscribe, like, and share. Who that? Peace.